allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Microphones. Trustee Foley,
Present.
trustee Lappin,
Here.
clerk Flavich, here. Treasurer Ellery Summers.
Here.
Trustee Kroll,
Excused absence.
trustee Reiner,
Here.
supervisor Skibby.
Present. We have a quorum. At this point in time, is there any suggestions that corrections, substitutions, or additions to the agenda?
I'd like to add something to the agenda, information about the Charter Township about Fire Department facts, and I will have a handout after.
Okay,
Probably under old business, I guess.
we could do a C under old business. You said you have a handout?
Yes, I do.
Can we just pass it out?
And do you want to pass that, distribute it to the board members now, or?
But wait till I'm done.
Okay, we have one addition to the agenda, old business item C, Charter Township Fire Department. Are there any other corrections, substitutions, or additions to the agenda as presented? Yes.
Mr. Chair, I'd just like to allow Cynthia Mashinsky to make a brief introduction of herself during public comment, if we could do that. That's not the norm, I know, because it's normally things on the agenda, but she's not on the agenda. I would ask to add that part to it, wherever you put it.
Now, I can appreciate trying to get in and out. Okay. So that being said, we have an amended agenda before us. Are there any other?
So the only amendment is
Would
adding.
be, yeah, and
Okay.
an exception to public comment, forwarded to trustee Reiner. Any other comments, or I'll entertain a motion to adopt the amended agenda as presented?
So moved.
We have a motion on the table to adopt the amended agenda. Is there support?
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor of adopting the amended agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Agenda has been adopted. This is the first opportunity for public comment, and with the exception given, Ms. Mushinsky, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, Supervisor Skibby, and I promise not to take 3 minutes even of your time, but I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Cynthia Mushinsky, and I'm currently serving as your Alpena County prosecutor, but I hope to be your next Alpena County probate judge here. So I can stick around as for a while yet. If there's any questions, anybody wants to chat after the meeting, I hope to be here that long, but we shall see. But thank you for the time. Appreciate it.
Moving forward with the remainder open block of public comment. This comment is for any agenda items presented. If there's any public comment from individuals present or online, if you're and online and have any public comment to the amended agenda, please use the bottom taskbar to raise your hand, send a message, etc. Again, this is the first opportunity for public comment. Seeing none in person and online, we will move forward to the consent agenda. We have the payment of bills, the minutes of September 26th, regular scheduled meeting, September 21st, special meeting, and October 4th of 20,222.
Get the whole extra 2 0.
He's stuck. Is there, and then we also have under correspondence from our dear friends at the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, pretty interesting packet there. Is there anything to be pulled from the consent agenda, or entertain a motion to move forward with approval of the consent agenda as presented?
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, we have a motion on the table to move forward with the consent agenda. Is there support?
Support.
Been moved and supported. Further discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Clerk Palovich, yes. Treasurer Ellery Summers.
Yes.
Trustee Reiner.
Yes.
Trustee Foley.
Yes.
Trustee Lappin.
Yes.
Supervisor Skibby.
Yes. Moving forward, the first item of old business is the second amendment to the water and sewer agreement for Wyndham Garden Estates. And I see with us this evening, we have Miss Mail. Is there anything that you would like to state to the board, Miss Mail, in representation of the?
I understand that, I was supposed to, you just called and show, I don't know, and said actually everything was fine. You just had to vote on it as the board, to the new agreement about.
Yes.
Seeing the lights.
Well, there are two different things.
Okay,
Yeah, and that's the business at hand is there is a second amendment to the agreement and conveyance, and the lights are, as it would be a standalone, of which as time progressed since the time when the WGE board sat down with Attorney Golden and myself, a cost proposal was brought forward from, I believe it was John's Electric. And since that meeting date, that plan was completely transferred towards Thunder Bay Electric, or with a different fee schedule and a different methodology for separation. Is there anything else that I'm missing, Miss Ma'am?
no, and the cost would be less for, installing.
Yeah, yeah, it was a difference of, I believe the John's Electric was $5,850 when.
So are we gonna just do this second amendment to the contract first?
Yeah.
and then
Yeah,
go
yeah,
back?
That'll
Okay,
be more of a
let's-
housekeeping.
Yeah,
If we
so,
could just kind of stick with that.
so Tim, would you like to discuss what we approached the second amendment to be?
Yeah, when we sat down with the neighborhood group, we realized that we should have amended the contract earlier to also provide, in addition to the township taking over maintenance responsibilities, future maintenance responsibilities for the lift stations. Township would be responsible for the electrical costs for operating that too. So to clean that up, we're amending the contract again to state that the township will be responsible for the cost of electric power to operate the sewage collection system lift stations from August 16, 2022 forward. Electric power will be metered to and billed to the township. The remaining provisions are just bringing the history of the contractual relationship up to today. Make that current as a track record of what's going on with this contractual relationship. So, so this isn't controversial or
Oh, no.
or earth shattering.
And we've already started paying
Yes, yeah, effective August, that was.
You're paying for the electrical cost.
just the electric.
Yeah, but there's that's, so the second amendment has nothing to do with the cost of splitting the electrical.
Correct.
meter.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's actually, there's still some things to be solved out because there is still, the township is still paying for a portion of the electrical that runs the sign at the entrance and the beginning series of lights, I do believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, Miss May.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, so this was just an oversight in terms of the First Amendment where it stated Wyndham Gardens still had the contractual obligation to make payment of the electrical bills through all the discovery. Here we are with this amendment cleaning it up.
I'll make the motion to approve the second amendment.
I have a motion on the table to move forward with the second amendment. Is there support?
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Further discussion? See any? Barring no discussion, roll call vote, please.
Treasurer Ellery Summers.
Yes.
Trustee Reiner.
Yes.
Trustee Foley.
Yes.
Trustee Lappin.
Yes.
Clerk Palovich, yes. Supervisor Skibby.
Yes.
Here are two original contracts. So, yeah, if you and Michelle sign those after the meeting or whatever, then you get them to the Wyndham Gardens folks.
Okay.
And you can
And-
each have an original.
Yes, and then so part two of old business outside of the second amendment, which we just moved forward and ratified. Is the severance of existing street lighting and the proposal that's in your board packet. Is there a motion or any discussion or questions to this?
I
matter?
have a question. John's Electric was 5880. Thunder Bay Electric was 3900. Are these apples to apples? Is this, these quotes?
And I guess I would, in terms of the sewer lift station and apples to apples, I would, I guess, ask Mr. Lytle, do you have any additional information to add to that, or if not?
They don't.
Yeah.
What I understand is this should be out. Yeah, level. Should be the same or just different folks in the company.
With Chris, no, we're not.
Trustee,
Good, good.
Good, Steve.
All right, so I don't think
You weren't at the last.
I wasn't at that last meeting, but what's puzzling me a little bit is in the agreement, there is it seems to be clear that Wyndham Gardens and the township would be responsible, that we would transfer all of the sewer and lift stations, and that the power would basically be separated away from the lights and the lift stations. In other words, we will pay our electric bill, you pay your electric bill. And it would appear as though somewhere along the line, either somebody didn't know, or they learned somewhere along the line that all of the streetlights were also connected essentially to the same circuit, I guess, as the lift stations. And now it would appear as though Wyndham Gardens is coming to us and asking us to essentially pay half of a bill that would, according to the agreement, would appear to be theirs, and theirs alone.
I can add a little bit there.
by all means.
It was always, the infrastructure and the lift stations were always owned by the township property given to the township when the neighborhood was constructed. And it had a provision in the original agreement that said, however, any repairs, and maintenance of the lift stations are gonna be Wyndham Gardens' responsibility. So we changed that. And then the original agreement also said, even though it's township infrastructure, Wyndham Gardens, you're responsible for the electric cost of operating those lift stations too. And so we've amended the contract to say that's not the case any longer. And I think you're right, Nathan's better versed than I am on the technical aspects. John's electric person we met with said, well, that never should have been connected to the lift station. Electrical components,
You mean the lights?
the lights.
Yeah.
By code,
Okay.
by common sense, that type of thing, but nobody caught it, so that's caught now. That's
So, but I mean, that would have been done at the time when probably First Federal or whoever it was had developed the infrastructure and did whatever they did.
Yep.
I don't understand how that impacts. I guess I don't understand why that comes back to us to be a burden to the taxpayers
in my best judgment, it's not a legal burden. They're asking
for
for
consideration.
consideration.
All right, okay.
And so I don't know if it matters, but I don't know if we even know which came first, the lights or the lift stations. But I think that's just sharing an unknown cost is what they're basically asking us for. This wasn't known at the time we did the original agreement or the more recent agreement.
Here we find ourselves in 2022. This is 15, 20 years after the fact. We're downstream quite a ways, and you would know exact timelines, Ms. Mail, but that's kind of where it's at. They haven't asked. We separated things out as it should be. Township infrastructure, none of our other sewer lift stations divert energy.
So at this point, we can make sure even the sign is separated. Let's make sure that that's part of the
Exactly.
arrangement.
Yeah,
But the other thing is that if we can do that for less than $2,000, $1,950, I think our share would come out to under the Thunder Bay Electric, right? Might get the right one, the 3,900.
Yes.
So, so the question I always ask is, where's the budget for that?
well, and I guess my position is it the township's position to even add a 50% cost share remedy of wrongdoing that wasn't the township's to begin with?
Well, that's the question. And
Well, and
that's Steve's question.
Yeah, and it's one and the same. Yeah, yes, Lord.
And there is a $2,000, almost $2,000 difference between the two quotes. That seems like a lot. 3,900 versus 5,880.
Like I said, I hadn't had time to really decipher. It seemed like there was a meter head that was able to be reused from a different location on premise. That could have been a cost savings. But we were only presented really with the John's Electric. John's Electric also is a subcontracted electrician that does electrical work on our lift stations. So it was very insightful, at least from my seat, when we sat down with Wyndham Gardens, to have an electrician sitting on both sides of that aisle, if you will, saying this should have never been connected. And so we're trying to clean it up, long and short. I guess from my seat, I just don't see the township having any skin in that game. But there is seven, well, tonight, 6-member board, but at this point in time, if there's no other questions, if somebody would like to make a motion.
I think that the motion would be to share the cost.
That is the ask of Wyndham Gardens, is that we share the cost.
I'll make a motion that the township not participate in the sharing of the cost.
We have a motion on the table to not participate in the 50-50 cost share on the second quote that was provided. Is there?
I'll support that.
It's been moved and supported. Further discussion. Seeing another?
I'd love to hear someone that knows more about it tell me why we should support it, because I mean, why we should support that cost. I mean, that would. Because what I've heard so far, I don't know why.
And I can't justify it.
And you know, these are citizens of the township, but there's other citizens that would be helping pay for it.
Well, and I think what we really need to focus on is it was an ask nonetheless. But if we look at the big picture, we move forward as a board to really help Wyndham Gardens with the finalization and the conveyance, because all the costs up to that point
They've been there.
were theirs. We are moving forward with corrective action to replace the boards that the electrical panels will be affixed to. And that would be a cost savings to Wyndham Garden as well, that we have allowed them, as asked, to put that meter head on our panel, if you will, when it has no negative impact to the electrical distribution of our lift stations. So. Any other questions?
Well, one thing I don't care for in this language either is that the Charter Township of Alpena would cover any additional cost above this amount for scope and implementation and completion. I mean,
Well, that motion's not on the table. right?
no, I know, but that's what's also,
part of the
but
ask.
that's part of the
Yeah,
ask is
so-
if it would, so why should that have been on us too, I guess?
And we actually, in that conveyance, in that master project of rehabbing all those lift stations, as we well know, we put a cap. Anything that broke the threshold of $106,000 on that project, the township ate. And we did eclipse $106,000 on that project. So we have a motion, we have support. Any further discussion? Excuse me. Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Reiner. Did you want me to say what the motion?
Well, yeah, I think a
The
yes
motion
is
is
to
to
deny.
not
Yeah,
share.
so
Yes.
a yes is to support the motion. Yes.
Trustee Polly,
Yes.
trustee Lappin.
Yes,
Clerk Palovich, yes. Treasurer Ellery Summers.
Yes,
Supervisor Skibby.
Yes. So the board has spoken this, and we are going to be moving forward with the electrical panels. And as Wyndham Gardens gets closer to implementation, our ask would be that we coordinate with DPW and F&B to ensure timeliness, to make sure that we don't have any power issues while the whole circuit is taken offline. Just something so that we're all on that same loop, especially Mr. Lytle and F&B staff. So. Any comments for the board, Ms. Ma'am?
Thank you.
Thank you for being here tonight. It's always a pleasure seeing you. Moving forward with old business, we have fire department rescue vehicle update. And I asked, well, we have Terry King with us. We also have, I believe, George Studley. If either of you gentlemen would like to come to the podium, kind of give some insight where we're at.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having us come back. Obviously, back on the December board meeting back of last year, we gave permission to order 2 F-150 pickups for your fire department. And we're trying to equip them as a fire vehicle / police vehicle because of the equipment that's involved. And for the past multiple months of the 2022, I have, I don't know, just about on a weekly basis, kept in contact with Chief, and kept him up to speed, and it just boggles my mind as to why the vehicles are still not built. And that's a question that a lot of customers have been asking, not only for Ford, but Chrysler, GMC, Chevy, and so forth. It just takes forever and a day for vehicles to be built, if they get built at all. We have no real explanation as to why they haven't been built, other than the commodity issue, chip issue, world events, whatever the case may be. The past couple months, with the help of my immediate supervisor, managing director, George Studley, we've even got to a point where we've gotten the higher mucky mucks of Ford, different divisions involved, trying to get answers. And we, in all honesty, have gotten nowhere. And so we have recently changed the F-150s to a 2023 model, and it hopes to correct that issue. But again, we just don't know when they're going to be built. So I know it's an issue for the board, because obviously Chief Hansen needs these vehicles. And I've been in contact, with your various members of the board, send emails. I've talked to Nathan privately at other social gatherings and so forth. And I don't have an answer. And I know George doesn't have one either. But since then, the past month or so, Chief Hansen and I have tried to put our heads together and just try to find a solution. And to a point where he's contacted a different dealership downstate who specializes in those type of vehicles for fire departments, police departments. And he may have had a little bit of luck there, but I don't know if today was kind of the deadline to make a decision with them there. But we came across a vehicle, and I talked to Chief Hansen this past Friday and also Saturday, I believe, with regards to a 2020. And it's a fire engine red F-150. And I know Township Supervisor Skibby looked at it today, and probably a couple of others, I'm not real sure. But it's an option that we're throwing out there just to get you a vehicle for the time being. This vehicle that we have currently has 40,000 miles on it. It was, I believe, a lease turn-in, and it's in great shape. There's not a mark on it, and it's a 2020. And for the township, because of all the issues that we have had, the delays that Ford has given us, continue to give us, and not only you, but other customers, my supervisor, George, has agreed to potentially sell this vehicle at below our cost. And for those of you who are listening in the audience, it wouldn't apply to someone who just came off the street and wanted to buy it at, I think it was 37,000. You didn't hear, George? Yes, that's what basically we have into it. And we have documentation to prove that, but obviously it's been on our lot for about 20 some days now, 22 days, if I recall. And we were in hopes to sell it for 43, 44, mid 40s, just to sell it to the public. But for the township, as a solution, and a possible solution, we're looking to get you into this vehicle, and in hopes to the new vehicles coming in at a later date, that you can either keep this one or take the 2 new ones, or potentially sell it back. Your choice. Obviously, no matter what you do, I know Supervisor Skibby had asked the question of our chief, who in turn asked me. Obviously, if you did potentially buy this one and then trade it back in, we have no idea what the market value is 6 months from now, of what the value of that truck would be, how many miles you're going to put on it, what kind of damage may be on it. We just don't know. but there's always gonna be an expense in it to swap equipment, and that expense would be coming from our radio guy up in St. Ignace, who specializes in this, so I don't know what he would charge. So we're just kind of throwing out options. My hands are tied, George's hands are tied, we're very frustrated. I know that we represent Ford, but we're not Ford, we're Dean Arbor, we sell Ford, but we also sell Chevys and other brands as, as they come through our doors. So entertaining further questions or ideas.
That's it.
So if we chose to purchase it would be the 37,321.97.
That's what he agreed to. That's what George
Okay,
agreed to.
no tax, no nothing.
You guys are tackling that, right?
Yes.
Yes. So
Just
that's
making sure.
that's,
Okay, so my second question is, and this would be for the chief, how much would it cost to equip that vehicle?
Well, and that was also my question that I posed to Chief Hansen, and obviously, I don't know if it made it to your doorstep. So the biggest thing that we saw as the advantage, and anybody that's ever dealt with vehicle electrics, is the wiring harness and having everything in that, the Interceptor version, kind of already configured to a large extent.
Right.
And so now in this, because I did look at it, is we kind of played a little bit badminton of possible scenarios. As in the police interceptor, there's also that center console that's purpose driven for inserting radios and other based electronics. So we already had a game plan at 112,000 caps, electronics, everything in. What would be the difference between going from a police interceptor on the electronics guy? Because that cost is going to be dramatically different of him wiring lights and sirens and everything from a police interceptor versus that.
Right.
model.
You're exactly right.
So obviously inherently, that's a cost. And I mean, I guess I'd leave it to you guys, because one, is that a burden that we bear? And obviously, we all agree that market is pretty tumultuous right now, but where do we find some common ground in this discussion?
So last Friday, the installer from St. Ignace, who they originally had lined up to put the equipment on the new trucks when they came, I spoke with him, I believe it was Friday, and he thought there would be probably an additional $300 to $400 for the proper harnesses in comparison to what we would have had for the police interceptors. I don't have that in writing from him, but we certainly probably could get that in writing from him. But that's what I know about that.
I guess that doesn't answer my exact question.
So right now, they have all the equipment that were supposed to be installed in the new trucks sitting there. Likewise,
They have, or whoever.
the
has it.
installer, yeah, Mark, what's his
Okay.
last name? Will. Likewise, Alpena Diesel has the two capper tops sitting in their backyard. So it would be a matter of putting the capper top on that, taking it up there and having them put the lights and stuff that's on there. In addition to what the normal expense was going to be for that, and I don't remember exactly what it is, the accessories that he was going to install in the truck. Yeah, for both.
Yeah.
Yep. It would be an additional $300 to $400 per vehicle.
So you don't have a packet to give us saying, this is what the vehicle is, this is what the add-ons are all gonna be, so we can go,
It's a
okay, this
bottom
is
line.
bottom line, this is what,
Well, and
we don't have that.
given the consideration that there's a fire committee meeting coming up this upcoming Monday,
Why don't we push that to that?
let's use that as the diving board. Actually,
And I would
Big
ask
input.
that we had ordered a 22, right?
Correct.
And this is a 20,
This is 20.
and we have the camper top sitting someplace that's supposed to fit on a 22.
They're the same.
Yeah. They're
Yeah,
same
they're
box.
interchangeable.
Will it fit on a 20?
Yeah, it will.
Oh, well, I guess my, because I don't know, my concern would be if an interceptor has special stuff on it that a regular vehicle doesn't, what are those special things and what would we be giving up in the process? And hopefully the answer is nothing.
Maybe Terry and I can work up that for
I
the
think,
Monday fire committee
I
meeting.
think that makes
If
sense.
that would be appropriate.
Mhm.
This is something that we just put together.
Just
This
basically
morning,
today.
actually.
Yeah.
Just to throw out some.
Yeah, I'm gonna say a couple of things and you correct me when I'm wrong. Okay, I mean, I believe that the interceptor package has more than just wiring. I believe it has some suspension, some brakes,
Yeah.
some differences in those things, alternator. Because that's a kind of a big deal in police equipment that the batteries go dead if you don't have the right kind of
Yeah, yeah.
generation system. So I think it has a lot more, I mean, I've got a better red color than that orangey red color on my pickup, and it's gonna be for sale if my 23 ever gets here. So,
Maybe you wouldn't mind listening to us.
so, you know, but it's gonna be about 3,000 more than that one. But, anyway, the point is that, I'd rather hold out for the specially equipped model. If, you know,
Well, I mean,
and I'm wondering, I mean, if we've got the radios and we've already paid for the camp caps and the radios and all that, we own
We
them.
haven't paid for anything yet.
It's all part of the package
Yeah,
that
they're
Dean
sitting
Arbor
looking at these. Yeah,
contracted
that's
for?
correct.
So that would be a point of clarification, because in this vein of, we're talking about a 2020, but then you've kind of forecasted that you're moving forward with 2023. I guess, could you?
Prices.
Yeah, the
Yeah, I
prices
mean,
came down.
Did we, was there any exploration of this taking basically the 2022s that this, well, the Kaiser Sose? Has that been pushed forward to 2023, and what does that look like? And all these variables are gonna still nonetheless go to Monday's meeting. But has that been one of those variables? I spoke with Mr. Studley, and it's okay, so. In our previous conversation was, we're gonna look at trying to figure out a 2023, make something work. I can appreciate that, but have we pushed in the paperwork to move forward and actually put an imaginary foot in line for 2023? And if so, what does that timeline look like?
What does that cost look?
And what does that cost difference look like from a purchase agreement at 112,000 and change versus coming into this model year? I mean,
So I can answer a couple of those things, maybe, and it's not exact, but here's a quote from LaFonte Ford of Lansing. The two vehicles that they had another agency cancel out on, these were available, but we had to have a deadline of today to tell them what color and different things like that. So I didn't think we'd be ready for that tonight. But they had a vehicle, then these will be slated to be built. And our whole reason for coming to, or my whole reason was to give an option about these, this possible used vehicle today. It's because I know there's been a push to want to make sure we get rid of this ambulance. And I guess the sooner the better is what I was told at one time. So that was just an option that, you know, I talked with Terry, it was actually last Friday that we, you know, we had this vehicle out on the lot and I said, what if? And George and Terry worked up a price and then they called me this morning and I went down there. So, and then I brought the vehicle to show Nathan this morning. So this has kind of been a last minute thing, but certainly would be most appropriate for the fire committee.
Yeah, yeah.
And it does have
I
a crack
would
in the
make
fog light on the driver's side.
I would make
We'll take it.
I would make an observation on a personal level that I had wanted to get a new vehicle. And so I ordered a new vehicle in December. And it just, you know, supply chain issues and packages and those things just wouldn't come available. And so about 2 weeks ago, I said, forget about it. When the supply chain issue resolves itself, then I will, we'll readdress it. Like 3 days later, the supply chain issue resolved itself because now I can build exactly what I want to build. And so I'm wondering if the manufacturers aren't getting sort of caught up. I would imagine there's been several vehicles that you've probably had to deal with customers that have been on hold for a long, long time. And now they're probably starting to click in a little bit. Is that accurate?
It's very accurate.
So we'll talk about it at the fire committee meeting, but I'm not too far off of where Russ.
Since there's two members of the fire committee here, would it be appropriate at that time when we're talking about that vehicle in comparison to what the other packages that we had to have Mr. King there.
It certainly wouldn't hurt.
Is that something that you know?
And so you already have a
Next Monday,
date and a time, correct? So
Yep.
I suggest that's the best platform for those discussions. So-
Got to bring your own coffee.
Now,
And
being on the committee, I'd like to ask
We have a
you,
queue.
find out one other thing, and that is, did Ford lose the order? I mean,
Well, I mean, so those,
no,
those are, I don't, I just personally with a different manufacturer. I was just amazed at how this week. I can't get it. Not that part of the package, but I can get you this one, but I can't get you that one. And then the next week is, oh, I can get you this one, but this one's not available.
well, thanks for the technique. I'll probably use it in Georgia particularly pretty soon.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
AM.
What is it, Monday, the 31st, right?
8 AM,
Next Monday.
not PM. AM. AM.
But that would be one option that I would ask for you to be prepared to discuss as well, if you're gonna be in, is what do those 20, as we filed in 2022, what is the variance in cost coming into 2023 for that exact same thing? And then maybe an option C, out of the 20,000 plus vehicles that they have parked in parking lots,
And
how
with
many of
road-
them are police interceptors and when are they going on the market?
Oh, the rodents have eaten all the wiring.
Yeah.
Now, that's a Porsche issue because they use soybean, but anyways. Fun facts. Thank you very much for showing, and you as well, Mr. Studley.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Terry.
Okay, moving forward, item C, township, norm.
I have some facts that I put together that I would like to read, and I'll have a handout after this, but Charter Township of Alpena Fire Department facts. Facts and information for Township Board and our citizens as to what decisions they will have to make if the millage vote fails or passes. A special meeting would start the process. In 2007, the city of Alpena and Alpena Township hired Raymond Robson, certified public accountants, to do an analysis of fire department consolidation options for the two governments. Near the end of the 39-page document, it states, as outlined in section 3, the issues related to fire department consolidation would present a challenge to the two communities. However, first conditions, future service needs, and common sense all point to the need to follow the course. In 2016 master plan survey was done. 78% said we should collaborate with other units of government for our fire department. I watched a Zoom meeting in the summer of 2020 about what local government should be considering. The 4 speakers were the presidents of the Michigan Association of Counties, the Michigan Municipal League, the Michigan Township Association, and a Michigan State University economist. They said government should be working together to combine services, to cut costs because our tax base and state revenue sharing would be reduced. Some fire department history. The fire department started in the mid-1950s, funded by the general fund. The first millage for the fire department passed in 1998 for 1 mill for 10 years. In 2005, the township board added medical first responder calls, and the calls increased from 175 to 850 per year. In November 2006, 2 mills for 6 years, with the funds raised to use for township fire department medical first responder calls, it failed. The fire department 1.0 millage renewed in 2008 for another 10 years, ending in 2018.
Norm, could you please just watch your microphone with that paper? That may sound horrible on mine.
The fire department, oops. The fire department started doing non-emergency transfers around 2012. The board dropped transfers in 2021. The board authorized a professional audit to see if the transfers were profitable or not. It was canceled by the auditor when he couldn't get the information required to complete the audit. In 2018, the 1.0 fire millage renewed plus a 0.5 mil for combined operating millage of 1.5 mils, ending in 2028, and a new 0.65 millage passed for equipment for 5 years, ending in 2023. Until 1991, the supervisor could also be the fire chief. That year, the supervisor was removed as a fire chief and a fire administrator was appointed. From 1991 to 2015, our fire department did not have a fire chief. The fire administrator with the full-time officers operated the fire department. When the department had needs, the fire administrator would bring them to the board. In 2015, the board hired a part-time fire chief and a part-time deputy chief to replace the fire administrator. The part-time fire chief left in 2016, and the deputy chief became the chief and in 2021 resigned. A full-time fire chief was hired by the board with full benefits to rebuild the fire department. His package with benefits is approximately $92,000. He chose to take a stipend instead of the health insurance, or his package would be over $100,000. Our department is operated with 6 full-time officers, part-time and paid on call in 2 stations. From people with many years of fire department knowledge, one of them is our labor attorney. It is recommended to be a minimum of 9 full-time employees and 13 full-time, or 13 full-time would be the best. With only 6 full-time, there is a risk of excessive overtime and causing fatigue to our firefighters. As of October 3rd, 50% of the township general fund contribution of $240,000 for the fire department has been used. This is a little personal information how the millage would affect my own personal taxes. My 2021 tax of 1.5 mils for the fire department ended in 2028 was $194. My 2021 tax 0.646 mil equipment only ended in 2023 was $84. My 2021 1.5 mils for county ambulance was another $194, with a total that year for the ambulance and the fire department of $472. The 3 mil passage would add to my December 22 taxes, $449, with a total, if that passes, for my taxes for this coming year of $921. The only other township 2021 tax that I had was township operating general fund, 1.1300 mils. A millage would provide approximately $377,000 to the fire department for each mill requested. The present millage of 1.5 mils provides approximately $565,000 and expires at the end of 2028. The November 8th, 2022 ballot is a millage for 3 mills for 6 years. 2022 through 2027. The funds would be used for fire department operations and equipment, raising approximately $1,134,359 the first year levy. Fire department plan. As of today, there has not been a fire department consulting company plan presented to the board, nor any other options. A consulting company had conversation with the fire committee, and the committee decided it cost too much, did not have enough time to get it finished before the election. When I discussed with the board that we did not have a consulting firm involved, I was told by a board member that I insulted the professionals we have on the fire committee for all of their expertise. I was referring to their expertise in operations of fire departments. The fire committee members are all experts in their fields, but not all have the knowledge and information consulting firm would provide. Some of the items that the evaluation firm would provide: total cost, number of personnel requested, training and other equipment requirements, process to put it all together, how long it would take to get the new department up and running and be on its own, results for as many models the board would like to evaluate, and anything else they would need could be provided. Ambulance information. The city has a contract with the county to provide ambulance service to all the citizens of Alpena County. You are paying 1.5 mils for this service separately from our fire department millage. Our fire department is licensed as a medical first responder and only allowed to do certain procedures when they arrive on the scene until the county ambulance arrives. If transporting is required, only the county can transport. We sold one of our ambulances, and the other 2 are waiting to be sold, as 2 new vehicles were ordered to fill that need. Somehow that all got taken care of tonight. I guess you'll have to figure it out this coming Monday. No vote for the city contract. The agreement the board voted on last year with the city would have placed advanced life support ambulances in both our stations. Our citizens would not have to wait for the ambulance to come. An article in the Alpena News, September 23rd, 2022 titled Resources Available by Chief Bill Forbush provided information of what could be done and the logistics of knowing how to do it. The article stated, our trustees said the city could not man and operate 2 township stations for $400,000 fee that was considered. Chief Forbush said the fact remains the city fire department can provide improved services to township residents for less money than township can. He provided the information in that article. He also stated, as of now, there are no talks with the township about revisiting the contract. And he added he is unsure the Alpena Municipal Council is still supportive of the idea after the township voted the initial agreement down in a 4-3 vote. During a township fire workshop meeting, September 21st, 2022, some trustees and employees of the township fire department speculated the city didn't have enough employees to handle city, township, and county duties. Forbush said, for a spell, the department was understaffed, but is now well above the minimum staff requirements for ambulance contract. He added, we don't have to add any people. We're not adding any trucks. We're not adding anything, he said. We're just strategically increasing our footprint and moving 2 rigs to different locations. I want to thank the Fire Township firefighters and the medical first responders for the service they provide to our community and citizens. They are at risk every time they go on a call. The boards of trustees are elected to serve the township and our 9,100 plus citizens using the resources and funds they're provided. Thanks. We can take one too, Tim.
Okay, any comments, questions to trustee?
Are we allowed to make comments? If-
We
It's
afforded.
agenda item, I guess.
It's agenda, I believe. and
I would like
had
to make some comments.
2 readings.
I first want to preface my remarks with saying that well, let me put it this way. My wife at least felt we had a need to call for some services that ended up being our township fire department, and we were well served. I want to say that because I commend the men in this case that were there and assisted us in an odor that we were concerned about might be dangerous. And they did an outstanding job, and they were great to be around and talk to. And I commend them highly for the work they do. But I've been troubled by the message that has been put out in regard to the millage election. I think there's been some misinformation and misunderstanding. The misunderstanding being, what is this board's obligation and who is it to? And the obligations of the citizens. What's the obligation and the needs that should be taken into consideration? The message has been from those supporting the millage, support our township fire department. And my belief is the message is wrong. My belief is the message should be, how do we best preserve the safety of our citizens at the least possible cost to them as taxpayers? So the citizens have 2 different needs here. One is fiscal in regard to how much tax they have to pay, and the other is their safety. And with it, I still advocate that the contract with the city would do for no more than, at that point in time, 1/3 of what we're willing to spend now to reconstitute our department. And we would have better service to the citizens. We would have 2 people and a paramedic in each of our stations. And just somebody should look into the difference. We've been told what it is, and we know that it's significant. What is the difference between the training of a paramedic, for example, and an EMT? And it's hundreds of hours difference. So my belief is that the message should be what is best for our citizens, both for citizen safety and protection, which is our primary obligation here at this board. And how do we provide that at the least possible cost to the same citizens as taxpayers? And I think we had the answer, but we failed to take it. And there was some, to me, and I'll just say it, to me, there was some personal animosities and I'm trying to find the right nice word, some stumbling blocks, let me put it that way, that some of our board members had to a contract with the city of any kind. And I understand where that comes from. Some of it is personal and business related, and some of it is related to the difficulties we've had over water and sewer and those kinds of issues. But this is a separate issue and it's a separate need that our citizens have that we provide. And I'm saying to you, we need to give the best message and the right message in regard to their consideration of this millage request. That's all I have.
We have been, our fire chief has been told on more than one occasion to not bring stuff to this board at the last minute. But yet, this is brought to us at the last minute with things that state to be a fact sheet. And many of it, much of it, what I listened to was opinion based. I'm very disappointed that this would not have been in a packet that we could have digested some. But I guess that's the way it goes. We know that there are people that just aren't interested in this at all. And they've made themselves very aware, very known. So I am very troubled by some of these things that Norm has brought forward. The guy didn't quit, as you have stated. I personally spoke with him, brought it back to the table. So that was not factual. And so again, I'm just very, very disappointed that what is good for the goose is not good for the gander. So, but to this to be brought to me and this board and not had the opportunity to look at any of this is backhanded. And that was what I will state.
Well, and I would say this is the second opportunity where we've had trustees bring things to the board. And it was the same way the first time that it was brought to the board, and nobody felt backhanded at that point in time. Every trustee has a vote, every trustee has a voice. And so, Laura,
I'm not sure what you mean by the first.
when we allowed Cash to read his disappointing 2-page letter, that was not supplied to the board, that was given last night.
Not right.
But we agreed that it's his voice.
Not right.
Well, and again, I mean, I'd like to say too, if anybody has, questions about where the money's spent or, what's brought in, what goes out, whatever. I mean, we're fully transparent. You can talk to Michelle, I will tell you whatever. And I don't feel like this is transparent at all. And I think there's things in here that are not true as well. And
So if that's the case, and we obviously do have a separation, obviously in this board, because we do have a tandem responsibility. We have service. We also have the fiduciary responsibility of our. And for however you want to slice it, maybe we need as a board to sit down with our labor attorney, Helen Mills, who drafted the contract, and actually be reinformed of what's in that contract and dispel all issues therein. Because we as a collective went through that process and she drafted it. So if there's any failures or because there is some miscommunication and maybe it's a miseducation, it's a difficult component. We've been discussing it now for 2 years. I look at this and I don't know exactly, but obviously we as a board need to have some conversation together. And the format that we tried with the workshop was not productive. It has some inherent value because we have employees that bring things to the table and we as a board need to listen to them. But we as a board need to be the driver. We've already been told we are the foundation. So I guess that's my ask, because I don't see this as personal. Personal is what discombobulated the conversation for the past 2 years. This is, I see it as trying to be as black as white as we have a service that we are dedicated to provide. And what are the economic drivers therein? I don't want to get into any personal jabs. That is not my intent, nor I would hope any board members. If there's misstatements, then we have discussions of what those misstatements are and work it out collectively. Because we obviously still have a division. And how, you know, I'm not Elmer's glue, so I look to this board. How do we get over that? Because,
Well, I think
But-
things like this are not going to lessen our division.
Well, I have to say,
and
if I
that's-
might,
but-
that what Cash read to us was hardening positions too.
that's, I guess, that's why I have, I mean,
That's my point. To whomever would bring something like this forward. It is, obviously, the timing of this is suspect. And so, I just find that we shouldn't be doing these things, whether it be Cash or me or you or Norm or whomever. If there's something that needs to be discussed, then let's discuss it. Let's not ambush. And do it at that time. I don't like this stuff.
I didn't see this as an ambush. I didn't see this at all like that. And it, as far as I know, and I've watched this board before I was on it, and then I was on it. And to me, you know, I've read the Raymond Robson report. That's all factual. Factual from a study point of
2007.
view. Well, nothing's changed, Steve.
A lot has changed.
actually, if by all means, when a FOIA was presented, are the conversations that we're having here today, the same conversations that have been since the fire department started? And I look to our clerk. You went through that FOIA.
They're basically the same conversation.
So getting back to the point, because we do need to have a conversation as a board. And so would it be in the best, everybody's best interest to have a special meeting and have that conversation? How else are we going to? I look for ways to resolve. Because we can't have it what good goose for the gander. It wasn't a problem. I do apologize, but it was no issue when trustee Kroll had no fact base in his.
I
and-
disagree with you with that, because I had a very lengthy discussion with trustee Kroll after that meeting. So I did have a problem with his whole letter when he read it. So it
Well,
was a problem.
I think my comment at the time was, I don't agree with it,
Yeah,
but
it is.
you have a right as a board member to say it. That's usually my comment to anyone who says stuff political or otherwise that I don't agree with. And, you know, that's our law. That's our government's foundation, is that we don't like what people say sometimes, quite often, actually, in this day and age. But they have a right to say that. And he had a right to say that.
I agree. He has
And
a right to
Norm had
listen.
the right to say what he believes is factual, and he's done the study to ferret out some of this stuff, so.
So again,
And he's lived
because we can just him and haw on this. We can come back to this. If I need to call a special meeting, then I'll call a special meeting. But if there's no other.
I'm not sure what the purpose of the special meeting would be. If we have a special meeting, are we gonna chip away at the facts? Are we gonna?
We could chip away at a lot of facts, because there is a fair amount of miseducation and division. So how do we get to actually a common baseline?
I don't know.
Because
I-
by not
I-
talking about it
Oh,
isn't
no, it's-
solving.
Yeah, clearly that doesn't resolve anything,
Well,
but
I mean, I'm not a marriage counselor, but I know that.
Maybe that's what we
communication is
need.
Usually. So, but nonetheless, I guess I look. I may be the supervisor and chair of this board, but we all have a say. I may not like Norm's, I may not like Cassius, but your opinion and your vote is your vote, same as mine. But
I
how-
think there's at
how
least
do
one
we-
she didn't like mine. So, you know, I mean, it's the way it's supposed to be. we're supposed to be able to debate and
Agree and disagree.
argue and,
Or
and,
agree to
and
disagree.
vote. And right now, the majority, has voted not to accept a contract, but I think, as kind of probably inferred from my comments, that that's one of the options we need to reconsider.
Well, and a question I pose, and I pose it to this entire board minus trustee Kroll, is come November 8th, 9th. What is the conversation? Because obviously hoping that it passes. But what if it doesn't? I mean, we're not in any time crunch, but pretending that there aren't other options out there is not an option any longer. So do we just hold back until November? I mean, I guess.
The fire committee has talked about options.
Yeah, I've heard that the fire committee has talked about options, and honestly, Steve, what I see is a reconstitution of exact same format. that
No,
we've always had.
I've made it very clear. I said, I think that if this doesn't work, then the most logical way is to have an authority. I've made that very clear. You can't have one municipality steering the ship of several. It doesn't work.
The November 8th is the election. We will know then, that evening, whether it passes or not. That gives us almost 5 months before this budget is over. If it passes, yahoo, it'll make budgeting much easier next year. If not, then we'll have to figure it out then. But it gives us 5 months to figure out our new budget for the next year. Why do we have to have a special meeting before?
I'm not saying, I was talking about a special meeting in terms of, do we have to have a sit down and powwow? This is, I'm on a different, I guess I didn't clarify. This would be. Comments were made, however you want to slice at it. A rebuttal was put in the newspaper. To those comments, I read it 2 weeks later and said, okay. Good, bad, or indifferent. It's still a conversation that at some point in time, even if it's completely off. I guess that's my confusing. Pretending it doesn't exist is a crazy way of looking at it.
I don't
But-
think anybody's pretending things don't exist.
Well, so we're not gonna solve that. I'm just looking for any creative solutions to
We don't-
where we can actually have open, viable conversation. And dispel each other's concerns.
I
if
think the
that's ever possible.
conversation needs to occur after November 8th.
Agreed.
Because
Yeah,
having
I'm
a conversation
not in any
now, we
hurry,
don't
like,
know what the
I'm just saying.
conversation is gonna be about.
And I don't disagree with that. But. Yes, trustee Paul.
That was the basis of most of my facts, was to energize people into thinking of what we have to do. Either which way the village goes, we win or we lose, but we need to move forward with something.
So, yes, trustee. Sorry.
I think that every member of this board has been thinking nonstop about this fire department for over 2 years now, Norm. I don't feel like we needed any jolt to energize us on our thoughts. We live, breathe, and sleep thinking about fire department.
But why can't we bring it to this table and get some discussion moving forward on it?
Because we don't know what direction we're moving forward to until after the November 8th election.
And again,
I mean,
we're
I'm
just-
gonna, I gotta get this off my chest, that Norm, it's made extremely clear over the time that you have no interest in the fire department. That's been made abundantly clear. And it seems to me that this is just one more push at it. That I'm gonna get this out before the election. This could have easily been held off until November 9th. Could have easily been. And that's what bothers me. These are the things that bother me, because this is political.
Point of order on that.
Yes.
I think that's.
Agreed.
That's objectionable.
Because it's objectionable because we've
Whatever.
already had the conversation. If you would like to frame it differently,
No.
trustee,
No, I'll leave it exactly the way it is. I got it off my chest.
because. I'm stuck because we have allowed it in the exact same format previous to the last vote. And so
I don't think it was the exact same format because
being on.
Trustee Kroll said it was his opinion. Norm stated things as fact.
Wow.
So,
There's misleading there.
So we're not gonna solve it tonight, is the long and short of that. And if there's nothing else, then let's move forward. Moving into new business, there is articles of incorporation from the Northeastern Michigan Materials Management Authority. And of which I'm sure, Laura, would you like to highlight the articles?
So the recycling committee has been meeting, and we need to move forward. NEMCOG has been the recycling board's fiduciary since our inception, I believe, and they no longer want to hold that responsibility or arrangement. So we need to go out on our own and form an authority. This resolution was presented at the Intergovernmental Council to the city and all 8 townships. And the county administrator put together the articles of incorporation along with Rachel Smolinski and myself and Cindy Johnson. Presented it at intergovernmental. A couple changes were made as far as representation. And basically, it doesn't cost anything to form this authority, and we just wanted many participants to be a part of it. So we can become an authority and move forward to be a more standalone authority.
Just that. An authority,
So
an authority. Yeah,
That's
so
what it is.
this is, we've already been a mishmash ad hoc intergovernmental agreement with representation from the city, townships, county, et cetera. This is a county program. We've just been the drivers of it for, I think, since Diane Rakowski took it over for 20 years. And so this is a huge growing step to actually leverage more fiduciary capacity as we entertain moving forward, hopefully in 2024, October, of breaking ground on a $5.8 million new facility. This cleans up the Public Act 233 and following that enabling act. I would actually I might as well just read the resolution as is customary. The resolution authorizing the Charter Township of Alpena to adopt the Articles of Incorporation of the Northeastern Michigan Materials Management Authority. Whereas Act number 233 of Public Act of 1955 of the state of Michigan, moving forward as the act provides in section 2 of the act that a or any 2 or more municipalities may incorporate an authority for the purpose of acquiring, owning, improving, enlarging, extending, and operating a sewage disposal system. Oh, okay, sewage disposal system. It just threw me through a loop after a half second. Water supply system, a solid waste management system, or a combination of systems by the adoption of the Articles of Incorporation by the legislative body of each of the municipalities. Whereas Articles of Incorporation have been prepared pursuant to the act for the purpose of creating an authority to be named the Northeast Michigan Materials Management Authority. Whereas the proposed Articles of Incorporation provide that the purposes of the authority are to furnish resource and material recovery services and to acquire, own, improve, enlarge, extend, operate, and administer a resource and materials recovery system and facilities, or to contract for the furnishings of such services to the authority by another appropriate source. And whereas the Charter Township Board of Trustees desires to approve and adopt the proposed Articles of Incorporation as authorized by section 2 of the act and become a constituent part of the Northeastern Michigan Materials Management Authority. Now therefore it be resolved that the Charter Township approves and adopts attached Articles of Incorporation of the Northeastern Michigan Materials Management Authority and authorizes the Township Supervisor and Township Clerk.
Pardon me?
On.
Oh, were you looking at me?
Yeah, well, that's to sign the Articles of Incorporation. So henceforth, is there a motion to move forward with the resolution?
So
as
moved.
Presented. We have
Support it.
a motion and support.
And
Any
thank
further-
you to Tim for drafting this resolution.
You're welcome. For formatting.
There's language you stumbled over. Is there?
No, well, I do apologize.
So we're-
I just, when I start reading about water distribution and sewer
Well, that's what I
distribution
wondered.
systems, I was like, okay,
Should
am
have
I
me in
on the
there.
right page? So, no,
Yeah, did you
No,
pick up the
so-
right document?
No, that is the Public Act of basically an authority.
That's language from the Public Act.
Yeah.
The motion is to accept it as presented. Yes.
Correct. Yeah, there is no corrections that need to be addressed.
No, using. Or maybe I shouldn't. But anyway, is the county still steering this ship or how is this working?
Authority.
Yeah,
would be
right
its
now,
own
so
authority.
as Laura presented, NEMCOG has historically been the fiduciary. As Diane Rakowski has retired and Doug Baum has stepped into executive director. He has made it extremely clear he would like to clean up some of the issues of the past, and that is some of the contractual language therein with the intergovernmental authority as it stands in conception. And so moving out, we have to actually ascertain an additional $1.62 million of funding mechanisms to break ground come October 2024 and have an operational system out on Airport Road. But this affords an actual entity, i.e. the authority, the ability to pursue funds, not just the county.
So right
as
now, the
umbrella.
county is the sponsoring unit, right?
Well, yeah, we're gonna be
They're
standalone.
the taxing unit.
Because right now, it is technically a county program
Yeah.
that's being run by an intergovernmental. ad
From
hoc.
my past history, I kind of know some of that
Mm-hmm.
and so you're basically saying the county is signing on to that.
Yes, this was drafted by the county administrator, Mary Catherine Hanna, as Laura had stated earlier.
I missed it.
Worked on with city manager Cindy Johnson, et cetera. Yes, Laura.
And also, just so you know, the representatives, on the board, are comprised of between 7 and 13 representatives. So 2 from the county, 2 from the city, 2 from the charter township, and 1 from each of the other townships. And then from this, once this is done, then we approve the bylaws. Is the next step.
And really, in our long-term goal is that we become a hub and in neighboring municipalities, the hub and spoke system. We are currently taking, once this kind of gets ratified and is solidified, we then can continue our pursuit of Mount Morency and Oscoda counties as townships up to county level, because every county in the MOA has representation and make the board for the landfill. Of which then we now have the ability to leverage, hopefully, an increase in tipping fees that is delegated to recycling. Because gone are the days of landfills thinking that it's hungry hippo. We make money by putting stuff in the ground. Nowadays with costs, it behooves them to actually, and especially with state mandates that are coming down the pipe. As soon as 2023 and it kind of eclipsing at 2025 of percentages of materials that are to not be buried. We need to start looking more as a partnership rather than we're just leftist green people that like to like to recycle and we smell like patchouli. It's no longer that mentality. Commodities have a true value. And so if we can actually make money on those commodities and keep things out of the ground, then that saves time and money of them having to construct a new cell, et cetera, et cetera. So this is one huge step in the right direction. I know in 6 years, we've been discussing this and it's finally starting to come to fruition. So kind of excited about it. If there's no other, just any
I
other.
remember this being an issue a while back because I remember speaking, with Laura, and then I spoke with Diane from NEMCOG. And I was actually reviewing a lot of the wording and it just made no sense the way it was set up and didn't really know who was necessarily in charge. And then I think the trigger to a lot of this was that we want to build a building. And my question was, who owns the building? And it was a sort of a bird chirping in the background kind of noise. And that's when the conversation kind of went to, why don't you guys form an authority so that you. have exactly what you just talked
The
about.
conversation's been going. It's just
Yeah.
what came first.
Yeah, no, this is a great, this
it's
is a
county
great idea.
program. Yeah,
These work.
yeah.
They've proven themselves to work. There's lots of these authorities out there. And so
Yeah.
it sounds great.
Any other questions, discussion? Otherwise, Barring none, roll call please.
Trustee Reiner.
Yes.
Trustee Foley.
Yes.
Trustee Lappin.
Yes,
Clerk Palovich, yes. Treasurer Ellery Summers.
Yes.
Supervisor Skibby.
Yes.
Fill it out for you, Michelle, and email it to you.
Perfect, thank you, Tim.
And then we'll sign the one that you sent.
Yeah,
Copy that.
sounds good. Hold off of it.
Okay, moving forward, the Munetrix cost has gone up. This contract concludes December 1st, 2022. It's an annual renewal. It has gone up by 4%. And you see that there is just a small discount as a municipality, basically. I've already answered a couple questions that Michelle and Laura had, but are there any questions? Otherwise, I'd entertain a motion.
so I went out to their website and I was looking at all of the things that they do. And I noticed that all of the enhancements and so on of the letter that he's spelled out. So my question is, do we use a lot of these things and are they compartmentalized? And can we not buy what we don't need and buy what we only need?
Right now, principally, one of the questions was because we have a data overlap. Michelle pointed out is we have on our webpage, we only have data from 2019 forward or 2020 forward.
2013, I
I thought we had a gap of like,
Oh, I thought it
anyways,
was
so actually I
2013.
was on and I'm like, so we have, because we used to be under, it was a weird setup. We used to, by our partnership with NEMCOG, we were under their umbrella. So some of our data is actually housed through the NEMCOG Munetrix, of which I have a meeting with Mike Gears tomorrow to say, how can we import that on the same platform, but on our webpage? Because if you actually hit the link that takes you to NEMCOG's, it has everything to current, which I don't know why I was looking at it today and I'm like, well, why do we have 2013, a huge data gap? It
Right.
looks unimpressive, but it's actually on one click over. So I'm trying to mirror that on, but principally what Munetrix is for is reporting for city, village, township revenue sharing. And hopefully here in the next little bit, rolling out CIP.
Yeah.
I'm fine. That's part of my conversation tomorrow is just finalizing that. So
Yeah,
That's-
I think that.
now with the other ancillary stuff. I haven't clicked into it very much.
Yeah.
So I just focus on the principal objects, obviously, same as BSNA. How deep do you want to dig? Because
Yeah.
we've been using it for 5-6 years now. And I still feel like we're just scratching the surface.
On GSM.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
very
that's why I
similar
just
to-
wondered if they were modules that you could buy.
They are.
Yeah.
They are, I think.
Yes.
The question I had, I was looking briefly at the budget. Did this come out of multiple line items this month?
No, professional and contractual out of Board of Trustees.
You got it down on there?
That's right.
On the end.
Oh, there it is.
Yep.
No one little one.
Haley snuck
Haley
it
did
there. She's so,
Different font. Nice
doing that,
style, though.
Haley.
she's so smart.
So,
Sneaky.
Program we just.
yeah, that GL currently has funding in it of just over $12,000.
Okay. 12,000?
Yeah, as of,
The 15th.
yeah, this is the one you made, 13. Yeah, so we have ample funding.
Is that the one that? Oh, that's available balance. I'm showing it. This is an old one I have. I need
I
a new
put one new
budget.
one in your mailbox.
Did you? What's this? I don't know. All right.
It's
No, it
small
was, should have
print.
been stapled to,
Oh, is
your-
it stapled all that crap?
it's right here.
All right.
Must have not been.
No, I did.
You called it your hard work.
I know. I'll just- Well, you said you wanted it, so now I gave it to you.
All right.
All right, so we have enough budgeted.
Oh, yeah,
We
So you
plan-
saw it in there really quick like that? I saw you
Yeah, I
flip
did.
through the pages.
he pulled it.
You're being personal.
Scroll. Yeah, I saw that email 2 weeks ago. Nice. If there's no other questions, I'd entertain a motion to move forward with a 1-year renewal of metrics at the cost
So
of
moved.
$7,996 to be paid out of 101-101-801-000.
So moved.
We have a motion on the table. Is there support?
Or
It's been moved and supported. Further discussion? Seeing none, roll call please.
Trustee Polly.
Yes.
Trustee Lappin.
Yes.
Clerk Palovich, yeah. Treasurer Ellery Summers.
Yes.
Trustee Reiner.
Yes.
Supervisor Skibby.
Yes. Moving forward to policies and procedures, and this is per the October 24th meeting that Russ, Laura and I sat down and discussed. So Laura, would you like to?
Today's October 24th.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, when we met in
September.
whenever we met in September. Anyway, so we went over the public participation of what was in our policy and procedures, and it was 4 small little paragraphs. We removed 2 paragraphs. And those are what I have kind of darkened on the first page. And I've inserted them into the next page at the very top, the 3rd and 4th paragraphs, and then added additional information for the policy and procedure that we had discussed that we're just presenting to the board for approval, and it will be added into the policies and procedures if it's approved.
So are there any questions of policy and procedure to the amendment ask of the policy and procedure manual? In section 2.25, rules of public comment and participation. If not, I'll entertain a motion to move forward with the amendment as presented.
So moved.
We have a motion on the table. Is there support? Support. Been moved and supported. Further discussion?
I'd just like to thank Laura for all her hard work.
All right, Laura, we thank you.
You got your trumpet underneath the table?
He's awesome.
Okay, just put your head right here.
All those in favor of amending the policy and procedure manual 2.25 rules of public comment and participation signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed to same. Vote has amended the policy and procedures. Moving forward to new business item number 4, budget adjustments. You'll see a grand total of, I believe, 7 budget adjustments that cover general fund, and then we also have the enterprise fund as well.
And the one under general fund is actually the ARPA fund, the interest earned.
Yeah, it's a creation. The 211 are by reporting standards of accounting, GLs and placement for our ARPA funds that were suggested by our CPA. So at this point in time, if there's no questions, I'd entertain a motion to move forward with the budget adjustments as presented.
Or,
We have support
I
on-
mean, not support. Yes.
Are you making a motion?
I'm making the
We-
motion,
We can
yes.
go backwards. You support it. So we have a motion on the table. Is there support?
I'll support.
It's been moved and supported. Further discussion?
Just one.
Yeah.
211-000-665-000 is a separate fund for the ARPA money.
Yes.
Yes.
That we had to create.
And in all actuality, you do bring out a good point. Should we actually modify the budget adjustment to the economic drivers that wasn't that?
It was.
Yeah. So with one to the,
Yeah.
to you with the motion, you
Yeah,
point out
remember I screwed
211-000-665-000. The revenue adjustment should actually read, and it was $465,
Yeah.
correct?
It was.
$465 and not $585.
Okay.
So with-
Friendly adjustment.
Okay, we have a friendly adjustment to the budget adjustments, but the
Yes.
motion maker and to the supportee. Okay,
But I do have one other question.
yes,
So those funds, that's a relatively large sum of money. Is it just sitting in a savings account or something?
Laura, would you like to?
Yes.
Why can't we put that someplace where we can gain more revenue?
Well, because if it's in a CD, you can only touch that money twice a
Or you
year.
can get 30 days.
No,
but I don't
or
know what the rate is.
Only once a year you can mess with it, or you have to
We just said you
pay.
get 30 days.
Oh,
In fact, I had a time in practice where I had $2 million in a trust account from some of the other law firm, thank you. And I put it immediately in the interest bearing accounts, and I changed the CD renewed every week,
See, I just think
because that's
that
when interest rates are
I'll
high.
check into that.
our marketplace is gonna start changing.
Right.
Yes, it is.
And I think that we could do better. than
Yeah, well, we received what, 919,000
Mhm.
and change,
that. Yeah.
and we've already allocated
Is that
You have.
think I had it.
I have the spreadsheet. I don't
We
have
have,
it.
we do have it up to date.
And I don't know if there's stipulations that are for money, and if there is, then we gotta follow it, but if there isn't, then let's.
So the
let's
stipulations,
stagger that.
the stipulations that, we had two options, by reporting standards coming into April first. It was either, identify every single independent allocation and report accordingly for the following 7 years, or option B, call it declare of loss, and you report on April first, which we did, and we are done reporting.
All right, well, so then we should try to, if
Maximize.
we can put these things in CDs, stagger them, so that we can have availability of cash and earn some revenue.
Bring something back to the next meeting, what potential?
Can't
It's a month
fall
out.
off.
We're not doing bi-weeklies. It's a month out.
Gee.
Yeah,
Falls under the heading of we can't fall off the floor.
yeah. So we have a motion and support still on the table. Any other discussion to the budget adjustments as presented with the friendly amendment? Seeing none, roll call. Please.
Clerk Flavich, yes. Treasurer Ellery Summers.
Yes.
Trustee Reiner.
Yes.
Trustee Polly.
Yes.
Trustee Lappin.
Yes.
Supervisor Skibby.
Yes. Okay. Moving forward, Chief Hansen.
Good evening, everyone. There was something that I see that's missing in my agenda that I had sent, the mission statement.
And I removed and pushed it to
So
the
we're gonna
fire
put it over
committee.
here.
Okay,
This-
all right, because I know I reviewed that last on the 26th. So I was gonna bring that forward for motion.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah,
it's-
we'll talk about it next week.
Okay. All right, going on with my first item of business then. Before you have a motion sheet that I have Mr. Watterson that's been working for us. I would like to make a proposal that we promote Mr. Watterson to the position as a lieutenant. That way it'll give me an officer at each station and be able to have a better continuity of conducting business within the department. And it's my recommendation that we put him into that position.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support it.
We have motion and support to follow Chief's recommendation of moving Mr. Watterson to Lieutenant Watterson. Any discussion?
I would just like to say, I'm always fascinated when I pull in or pull out during the day or walk over there, and you're always a busy little bee.
Yes, I have stated that. It's good to see. So if there's no discussion, roll call please.
Treasurer Ellery Summers.
Yes.
Trustee Reiner.
Yes.
Trustee Polly.
Yes.
Trustee Lappin.
Yes.
Clerk Flavich, yeah. Supervisor Skibby.
Yes. Thank you very much for your work, sir.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Weren't you the first guy at my house the other?
And we, yes, sir. it was. And to kind of to build on that, we had some timing, but I believe we're gonna have things in order for our subsequent meeting, chief, for.
Yes, for the next,
Okay.
we're going to have a pinning ceremony, not a spinning ceremony, a pinning ceremony for that and a couple of our newest full timers that we just recently got on.
Wonderful.
Okay, next item is the 80.
Okay, we put in for, I wrote a Northeast Community Foundation grant. And within that grant, I actually applied for the maximum of $5,000 to purchase towards the purchase of 2 new defibrillators. We were awarded a grant for $2,500 of the purchase of $3,204.24. So we weren't awarded the full grant, but at this point in time, I would like to take the money that we've received from the Community Foundation as applied for an external defibrillator to have all like units on our vehicles. And it'll even be the like unit of what's sitting on your boardroom wall. So just about every unit in the township will be the same, exception for one that's in the Chiefs Mobile. But my original goal was that we were going to try to do that. If we find money at the end of the year and the line item for EMS, that's something I will propose to this board that we do that, so we can keep everything uniformed and keep a better continuity of pricing on equipment and different things like that, so it'd be the same. But at this time, I would like to recommend that we purchase the automated defibrillator for a price of $3,204.24 from Stryker, who is the manufacturer, out of our GL 205-336-729-000 for medical operational supplies, and up to $2,500 of that purchase will be received back from the Northeast Community Foundation at the point of us doing our proper receipting.
So with the remainder that would be paid out of that same GL of 704.20.
That's correct.
Just a quick understanding. You applied for the grant for 5, you received, did you receive an okay that you're get reimbursement for 25?
Up to 2,500, that's correct.
What do you mean up to? Okay, so the maximum of 30, so we're gonna get 2,500.
We're gonna get $2,500.
All right, fair enough. I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't some caveat there. All right.
No,
By the way, great use of your efforts on the grant. I applaud.
thank you.
Okay, we have a recommendation from Chief to move forward with 2 things, the reimbursement grant through Northeastern Council of Governments or Community Foundation of Northeastern Michigan. I do apologize. With a remaining balance of 704.24, that would be directly coming out of 205-336-729-000. We have, do we have a motion?
No motion.
I wanted to clarify that because I don't think that's how that's gonna work.
So
We have to, we have
spend
to
the 25.
spend it to get
Exactly.
25.
You guys spent the 32.
My point of
Right.
clarification was the difference between the total cost
And
and
it's
what
just
the
wanna make-
reimbursement.
Because we're gonna have to write a check out.
Full amount,
So-
full
so
amount
the-
up front.
So the price of one unit is $3,204, something like that. Let me just get 204.24.
So how many new does that give you right now with that?
So this will make 6 like units.
Okay, not as so new,
Right,
but you got current batteries and.
that's correct. So in fact, at one point, LifePak had thought about changing their design. But they had so much feedback throughout the nation because most fire departments have this. And they've decided to continue making this model just the way it is for fire departments.
Question.
Yes.
So this is the same model that you have in the rescue vehicle,
That's correct.
and then all but. So if we get another one, all but the chief mobile will have this type of.
That is correct.
So how old is the one in the chief mobile?
Old.
Okay. Because I was thinking if it was fairly new, you. could
Old enough to
swap it
drink?
out.
What is the
Probably.
life expectancy?
Driver's permit?
Gonna become oil soon?
Well,
Expiration of life.
the
Is it
biggest
5
thing
years?
is the battery life. And the older the unit, the pricier the batteries become, if you will. So,
But
Mike-
usually you replace the unit because the battery is
No.
costly to.
You put in a-
right, and the electrode pads are like double for the old units compared to the unit that everybody's using. And these also, the pack also interfaces with county EMS units. So they don't have to take our patches off and reapply. They can plug into the same machine. So-
So we-
They're new.
We do have a recommendation. We can get into more discussion.
I-
But how about we have a
I move-
motion?
I move that we move forward with the purchase of the defibrillator
I support.
as presented.
Okay, we have a motion and support. Further discussion? I think we covered it. Yeah, copy that. We have motion and support. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Reiner,
Yes.
trustee Polly.
Yes.
Trustee Lappin,
Yes.
clerk Flavich, yes. Treasurer Ellery Summers. Yes. Supervisor Skibby.
Yes. Are there, at this point in time, are there any questions of any of the department reports as presented? I did have a last minute rooster. He did not make the cut on my supervisor's report. That would make 17 roosters this season, which is 17 roosters too many.
The one in my neighborhood was helpful to wake up to.
I'm sorry I took away your alarm clock.
I guess I'll say thank you. I guess I'm done, so I'll go sit down.
Copy that.
I just wanted to let you guys kind of know where we are with absentee voters. So far, we have issued 1,980 ballots, and we've had 1,135 returned as of 5 PM today. So we have 57% of them back already.
Now, just point of self-knowledge. In the last election, what percentage?
Are you saying last election being August or last
I'd
election
say-
being November of 2020?
I would probably go back to the general.
Okay,
How many were,
last election in November of 2020, we had 2,400 absentee voters or ballots issued. We got 98% of them back.
I know you're awesome. on-
Yeah, so our rate is usually between 97 and 98% back. Wow.
All living voters.
So do you anticipate coming into this, that's kind of
I'm anticipating we'll have
same
98% back.
at
97.
2,400 total,
I don't think we'll get up to 2,400. We're not.
just not
coming in.
presidential, is that by the?
Part of that was COVID and plus the state, handled all those absentee voter applications.
That's so helpful.
That was very helpful to us, yes.
I had a couple of questions on the report.
Who's-
Some of them aren't, none of them probably are that. I have two questions. None of them are a big deal. So you had to testify in court on a case? Is that what you?
I have been showing up to trial as a subpoenaed guest. I think collectively,
I was a little
The-
confused. You
the-
said 26th district court. We have a 26th circuit night.
circuit, yeah, sorry. I was on the wrong side of the street and in the wrong district, powered by a different circuit.
But you
There
didn't
you
have to testify?
I did not. It actually got kicked out again, to December 20th. And I just got the newest subpoena letter. All I can say is, the Honorable Judge Black has noted that the supervisor of the Charter Township has impeccable timing and dedication to showing up when lawyers that represent that case don't show the same. So,
I've been on the other side of that comment before.
so,
Bypass Zoom meeting. What was that?
Oh, that was a long time ago.
Well, that was September.
No,
It's only been in the last
that
30
was-
days.
It was the bypass by Partridge Point. That was,
oh,
With Larry.
yeah.
Oh,
so you slipped her into your report?
No,
Is he out
well,
on the-
you were on.
Yeah, okay. A tip of the hat.
All right,
I watched it.
okay.
Oh, you-
Well, so did I.
The rest of
I watched it from here, but
Yeah. it was-
You know, I just watched.
So I could. put
That was
mine
all
on
you had to
there.
ask out of that.
that's all I'd ask.
Yes, trustee
I have
Paul.
a question for
Or
Laura.
just slip by.
Is Rhonda taking over the water billing?
Yes, she is.
Oh, okay.
That was a decision that basically the three of us made, that, you know, I think Rhonda is much,
And
better on the phone. I mean, customer service wise. I mean, I think she kind of
Yeah.
takes time to explain things to customers when they continually ask a question. She figures out a way to, you know, talk to them and answer their questions.
yeah,
Where I-
it's a transition, but it is for the betterment. And we've actually implemented, I've taken the whiteboard up, trying to give them, I know that trying to get them out in the field with Mr. Lytle from F&B as well, just to be the first line. A billing clerk should be the first line of communication and how to dispatch our boots on the ground. And so collectively, we had that conversation internal and it made the best sense to provide the greatest amount of communication to internal staff and to provide customers.
Mhm.
I
And,
guess,
you know, Kelly's
Well-
obviously older than Rhonda, but she'll probably retire. but
Well,
It.
let's not get into those conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you gotta watch out for all of you.
This training is great. I
They're
mean,
working on
big-
cross
big
training
time.
in every department.
Right.
Haley's learned the building department. It's-
Yeah.
I'm ready to cross train buildings and grounds.
I'd just like to make a couple of public comments about our people, you know. Having worked the last election, and I guess I've been tagged for the next one. Haley is excellent. Haley's knowledgeable when she's there. When she wasn't there, though, Rhonda did a good job of answering for two precincts. Our precinct didn't have Rhonda working in. And but she helped us a lot, us neophyte people to get through some. Little issues.
We have great staff. We just have to give them a mission that they can complete and provide the best service still.
And give them the tools they
Yeah.
need to complete it.
Any other questions about department reports?
You didn't have any other.
Thanks for
employees
the budget.
to
I
comment on?
I really like Laura a lot.
Yeah.
Michelle does a great job too.
With that being said, it's getting deep in here. Are there any, this is the second.
What did he say? With that-
Well, you gotta find some humor. This is the second opportunity for public comment. If there's any public comment and online, please use the bottom taskbar under the ellipsis of more to raise your hand or send a message so that we can identify you. If not, once again, this is the final opportunity for public comment. Members of the public are solely online currently. If there's any comment, please raise your hand or let us know how to address your comment. Seeing none, is there any further discussion for the betterment of the board?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion on the table to adjourn. We have support for the discussion.
Well, let's talk about it.
Seeing none. All those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Oppose the same. Meeting adjourned at 7:40. Thank you very much.
Wow.